Ever wondered how to navigate the intricate web of compliance processes while maintaining top-tier security for your notarial records? The solution is closer than you think. Introducing Comply Chain Guard, or CGG, a platform designed specifically for civil law notaries. CCG merges the complex chain of compliance processes with unrivaled protective measures. It enables you to stride confidently through the multifaceted terrain of regulations while ensuring paramount security for your records, deeds, and transactions. CCG boasts a regulatory compliance engine that keeps you updated with real-time insights tailored to civil law regulations. It effortlessly integrates with legal databases and ensures automated compliance checks for all notarial deeds and transactions. But that's not all. CCG also features advanced encryption to safeguard your notarial records. You'll benefit from multi-factor authentication and periodic security assessments, upholding the sanctity of every notarial act. Plus, with continuous transaction monitoring, you'll receive alerts for any discrepancies and comprehensive logs for traceability. And when it comes to reporting and analytics, CCG generates automated compliance reports specific to notarial acts. Dive into our analytics dashboard for transaction patterns and predictive insights. Why choose CCG? It brings efficiency, security, and compliance to your fingertips, allowing you to operate with unmatched confidence and credibility. CCG integrates effortlessly with your notarial record-keeping systems. Our API facilitates bespoke integrations, ensuring compatibility with major legal platforms and databases. And remember, our dedicated support is here to assist you every step of the way. CGG is the future of notarial practices. It redefines your work, ensuring accuracy, credibility, and peace of mind. It's a transformative experience tailored for civil law notaries. Don't wait. Contact Comply Chain Guard for a demo or more information. Step into the future of notarial practices. Your journey to seamless compliance and robust security starts with CCG.
Have you ever pondered the integral role of truth and transparency in legal transactions? Indeed, these principles form the very bedrock of justice and fairness. In the realm of affidavits, truth and transparency are paramount. They are the compass guiding the navigation of complex legal waters. But how can we ensure these principles are upheld consistently and efficiently? Enter Affinet, the Affidavit Network. Affinet is a groundbreaking platform designed with sovereigns, legal professionals, and businesses in mind. It is a one-stop solution for creating, verifying, and recording truth affidavits. This ensures a seamless and trustworthy experience for all parties involved. Why choose Affinet? Integrity, efficiency, security, and expertise. Our platform is built on the principle of truth, fostering transparency in each transaction. Record your affidavits with ease and access them anytime, anywhere. With state-of-the-art encryption, your documents remain confidential and secure. Plus, our team of legal professionals is always on hand to assist and guide you. Let's delve deeper into the features of Affinet. Draft your affidavits online using our user-friendly interface. Ensure the authenticity of your documents with our robust verification system. Record your affidavits in county records or publish them as required, thanks to our seamless integration with the public record. Track the status of your affidavits and receive notifications on any challenges or updates with our case management feature. Affinet is also compliant with RSIA, the Arbitration Registry Investment System Artificial Intelligence. This ensures we uphold the highest standards in the creation and verification of truth affidavits. What exactly is a truth affidavit? It's a formal written statement made under oath, asserting the veracity of specific facts. All affidavits are inherently considered to be truth affidavits, as they are the primary means for a sovereign to communicate with another sovereign or government entity. Affidavits play a crucial role in common law. They present only facts that the author can prove and are primarily used in commercial transactions and disputes. When recorded in county records, they become part of public policy and establish the facts of a case. If unchallenged for 30 days post-recording, they become the law of the case. It's essential to remember that public policy is established for public officials, not sovereigns. Sovereigns operate in the private domain, while the government operates publicly. Affinet simplifies the process of using affidavits in corporate courts. Record the affidavit in the county record, obtain 3 certified copies from the county clerk, and submit 1 copy to the court records. Present 1 copy to the plaintiff and another to the judge during court proceedings. As the author of the affidavit, you become the creditor or secured party in the case, and the case cannot proceed until your affidavit is challenged. A truth affidavit must be truthful and complete. It should clearly identify the author as a sovereign private person, living sole, creditor, claimant, and secured party. The affidavit should only state facts that are irrefutable. In conclusion, Affinet is your trusted partner in truthful transactions. For your next affidavit, give Affinet a try. Experience the difference of a platform built on the principles of truth and transparency. Affinet, your partner in integrity.
North Avenue Capital started with a vision of being the best lender in the industry. For us to be effective, we needed to understand rural communities and the businesses that are critical for keeping those local economies thriving. North Avenue Capital provides financing in partnership with the USDA Rural Development Program. The main purpose of the USDA Rural Development Loan Guarantee Program is to encourage lenders to deploy capital into rural communities with the underlying objective of creating jobs, spurring on economic development, and helping establish and build businesses in communities outside of large metropolitan areas.
The USDA Business and Industry Loan Program is a secured asset lending program. We refinance existing debt. We do ground-up construction. We provide capital to improve real estate and provide working capital to borrowers across the country. The benefits of the USDA B&I program are the rates tend to be very competitive. They're very long-term loans, up to 30-year term and amortization. It tends to be a highly levered product. So oftentimes we can get up to 75% loan to cost on startups. And on the right existing business, we often do 100% financing. The types of deals that can be done in the USDA B&I program are all forms of commercial real estate, office, industrial, retail, hospitality, but then also specialized sectors, vineyards, wedding venues, nurseries, family entertainment centers, even oil and gas and mining.
In order for a borrower to qualify for a B&I loan, first of all, they have to be a for-profit business or a startup business, but they need to be located in a rural community outside of a big city, which actually comprises 97% of the country. In fact, many borrowers are operating in rural communities and may not even know it because of their proximity to a suburban or metropolitan area.
If you have an opportunity that you think may be a fit for one of the USDA loan programs, you can find us at northavenue.com, and we're all over the internet. We look forward to working with you.
Understanding syntactical trust training and insurance documentation. Summary. The video presentation discusses tactical trust training and the role of automated underwriting software in securitization audits. The focus is on the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide linked to Accord Life and Annuity Standards, revealing its correlation with global insurance standards. Various insurance forms and their functions are explained, including property loss notices, liability notices, and certificates of insurance. The video also touches on specialized forms for different types of insurance and the use of forms in arbitration processes. The presentation emphasizes upcoming in-depth training on syntactical trust banking and M3 conveyances. Highlights. First, the video introduces tactical trust training and the use of automated underwriting software for securitization audits. Second, the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide is tied to global insurance standards and correlates with Accord Life and Annuity Standards. Third, various insurance forms such as property loss notices and liability notices are discussed, along with their roles. Fourth, specific forms for different types of insurance like trucking and commercial property insurance are highlighted. Fifth, forms play a crucial role in arbitration processes, populating based on requests and activities. Sixth, the presentation mentions specialized forms like those for professional liability, money transmittal bonds, and key man insurance. Seventh, Forms 831 and 833 are emphasized for reporting claims involving lawyers and other professionals. Eighth, the importance of gathering materials for upcoming in-depth training on syntactical trust banking and M3 conveyances is highlighted. Understanding syntactical trust training and insurance documentation. In the realm of financial operations, syntactical trust training plays a vital role in ensuring compliance and effective implementation of automated underwriting software. This comprehensive guide sheds light on the intricate world of insurance documentation, aiming to equip compliance officers and insurance professionals with the knowledge necessary for accurate and informed decision-making. From the correlation between global insurance standards and automated underwriting to the utilization of specific forms in various insurance scenarios, this article dives deep into the core of syntactical trust training. The role of automated underwriting software in securitization audits. Automated underwriting software is a key player in the world of securitization audits. These audits are essential for evaluating the compliance and security aspects of financial transactions. By utilizing automated underwriting software, organizations can streamline the auditing process and ensure accurate assessments of various financial instruments. Understanding the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide. At the heart of insurance operations lies the DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, Replacement Implementation Guide. This guide, rooted in Accord Life and annuity standards, serves as a crucial reference for compliance officers and insurance professionals. It establishes a direct link between the DTCC and the core, which deals with global insurance standards. This connection is particularly relevant for those involved in commercial insurances, such as tractor-trailer insurance, where certificates of insurance originate from the core. Decoding the Accord Form Index. The Accord Form Index is a treasure trove of forms used in the insurance industry. From property loss notices to liability notices, this index encompasses a wide array of forms that cater to diverse insurance scenarios. For instance, individuals making claims on insurances will encounter forms such as Notice of Occurrence and Claim, Property Loss Notices, and more. Property Loss Notices. Notice of Occurrence and Claim. Intermodal Interchange Certificate of Insurance. Certificate of Property Insurance. Certificate of Liability Insurance. Evidence of Property Insurance. Evidence of Commercial Property Insurance. Statement of No Loss. Financial Responsibility Form. Insurance Binders. Commercial Insurance Application, Form 125. Accounts Receivable for Valuable Papers. Professional Liability Supplement, Form 187. Money Transmittal Bond, Shared Report of Execution, Form 501. Contract Bond Request, Forms 502, 503, 504. Professional Special Insurance Application, Form 825. Lawyer's Professional Liability Section, Forms 831, 833. Navigating the complexity of insurance documentation. The intricate web of insurance documentation comes to life through various forms that serve distinct purposes. From professional liability supplements to notices of incident or claim, these forms cater to professionals, specialists, and various insurance scenarios. For instance, Form 831 and 833 for lawyers and other professionals. Form 825, Professional Special Insurance Application. Form 501, Shared Report of Execution for Money Transmittal Bond. Forms 502, 503, 504, Contract Bond Requests. Property Loss Notices and Notice of Occurrence and Claim, the Reinsurance Connection. Applying syntactical trust training in practical scenarios. As professionals navigate the world of insurance, syntactical trust training becomes crucial for accurate implementation. From understanding specific forms to using them effectively in various arbitration scenarios, this training ensures compliance and informed decision-making. For instance, Schedule C on Admiralty Claim and Notice of Fault Demand for Payment. Cross-referencing forms for effective reinsurance. Embracing the future of insurance operations. As the industry evolves, syntactical trust training remains an essential cornerstone of insurance operations. This guide serves as a roadmap for compliance officers, insurance professionals, and all stakeholders involved in the intricate world of insurance documentation. By grasping the nuances of syntactical trust training, professionals can navigate the complexities of the insurance landscape with confidence, ensuring compliance and effective decision-making. In conclusion, syntactical trust training and a deep understanding of insurance documentation pave the way for efficient operations and informed choices in the insurance industry. This guide serves as a comprehensive resource for those seeking clarity and proficiency in navigating the intricacies of insurance forms and procedures. As professionals continue to engage with the evolving landscape of insurance, syntactical trust training remains a valuable asset that empowers them to make impactful decisions and contribute to the industry's growth.
Hey, welcome to the show. It has been a very long time since I have made a video for this channel, so I am back to talk about a couple of important things that have been going on in the world. I want to fill you in on some stuff that I've been working on and talk about the future of money. All right, Molly Elmore here. Happy to be back here. So what we're going to talk about today is how tokenization is actually beginning. So when I first started to study this concept, probably like a year or two ago, it seemed very conceptual, like this idea of this future world where assets would be tokenized and it's going to change how like trade and capital markets and even money works. And it seemed like a cool thing to talk about, but nobody was really doing it. So it was almost like practically discussing like some kind of sci-fi future world. However, in the past, I'd say about 4 to 5 months, I've been involved in projects where actual assets are being actually tokenized and they're being traded. And so this sort of future thing that we were talking about is now here. Now, it still was kind of being done in the background, maybe a couple of smaller projects. You could even call them kind of like beta tests just to make sure everything works. Although we've known from projects like Project Guardian out of Singapore that the institutional financial system, the financial world, has been doing these beta tests for quite some time. So the stuff that I'm talking about that's more recent, to me, it's more hitting like the more mainstream world, because I'm not part of the institutional financial system. So the projects that I'm involved in are kind of a little bit more for regular people, for your average accredited investor who wants to participate in an investment opportunity, or businesses that are looking to maybe raise money, or even some real estate projects that are looking to grow and expand and need investments. So what this looks like, though, now that we're kind of seeing multiple projects actually kind of come to fruition, is that the banking system is not operating the way that it used to, and that's created a problem. And so the best offers in business, in my opinion, are solutions to painful problems. That if I have some cool technology and I go and I present it to somebody, but everything's working fine in their world, why would they disrupt what they're doing and invest money in something that they really don't need? If everything's going great, then they got no problems. What does this technology do for them? This is actually just a sidebar for a little bit. I've been on quite a few sales calls with companies in the tokenization and blockchain technology space. And I know that we are still very early because there aren't any great salespeople yet. With the technology developers in some cases, or even just technology visionaries, are attempting to sell a lot of these packages, but they really have no idea how sales work. So to me, a big indicator that it's showtime for real with tokenization is when like very skilled salespeople move over from the sectors that they're in now towards this new space. And we're seeing that some sectors, particularly the mortgage industry and other kind of related to the loan world, things are not operating as they were, and I think the sophisticated salespeople will move over. Okay, back to tokenization, and what are we kind of seeing happening? The banking system is not operating as it used to, as I mentioned a minute ago, and so what that means is that a lot of companies that typically raise money from banks, borrow money from banks, it ain't working. They're not getting that money, so they're having to go to other solutions. That is kind of where I'm seeing the most opportunities, is helping kind of like commercial real estate and larger businesses that want to raise substantial amounts of money, they are having to be creative and resourceful, and this is where tokenization comes into play. So we're just going to go over a little bit of a brief definition of what I mean by tokenization, because this is like a new label, right? But it's like a lot of labels in business, they're made up and we assign meaning to them. My definition of tokenization is when you take an actual asset, let's refer to a house, for example. Real estate is a very easy one to understand. When you have this house, there is a deed associated with it that indicates you own the house. So when you tokenize this house, you're not actually putting this house on the blockchain, because that doesn't even make sense how that would logistically work. But what you can do is you can take the property rights that are listed out in this deed, and you can represent them kind of like an electronic deed, which we'll call that an NFT. NFT just means it's unique, so there shouldn't be 10 copies of the same deed for the same house circulating, because the house really only has one owner, right? In this case, there's only one deed to go to that house. All right, so you can take this deed, you can represent the rights associated with owning that house property that are in the deed as an NFT, and you can register that on the blockchain. The blockchain is an accounting ledger that stores information about transactions. So if I own the rights to this house, and that's being kind of represented by this deed that's in an NFT that is now been logged on the blockchain, if I were to sell this house to someone else, the property rights associated with that house get transferred over. So what that means logistically is, like, I sell you the NFT, and when you buy the NFT, you now have the rights that NFT presents. And this is why the blockchain can make transactions with something like real estate very, very quick and inexpensive, because if you've ever bought an NFT, doesn't matter if it's like a picture of a monkey, you see the logistical process that you have a wallet, there are funds in that wallet, the NFT has a price, you transfer the funds in your wallet to whoever owns that NFT now, and we have an exchange. I get the NFT, they get the money, the value, and now the transaction is completed. So now whoever I sold it to has the property rights to this house. Now, if you've ever bought or sold a house kind of in the old school way, like, it doesn't work that quickly, right? You tend to really have real estate owners, you got to put money in escrow, there's sort of, you got to go to the closing, and it can be quite a time-consuming process. So if you had a house and you wanted to sell it very quickly, that's not so easy to do in the current real estate world, because there's all these kind of like processes that you have to follow and some red tape and all that stuff. So in this tokenization of real estate world, logistically it is now very, very easy and efficient to sell a house from one party to another. Now it's not going to stop with just real estate, because there are many, many assets that have value, and real estate too is a pretty broad category. You have like single family houses, and then you have like apartment complexes, you have commercial real estate, you have resorts, and you have things like amusement parks. I mean, there's a tremendous variety in the types of real estate entities. And when you think about investing in something like a resort, let's say somebody was going to build a $100 million resort, and in the old world they would go to a series of banks, maybe some what Jimmy calls big kid investors, and raise money that way. Well, there might be a variety of reasons why that's either not possible for you or not desirable for you. And you could now, via tokenization and this kind of new introduction of digital assets, kind of a broad market, you could now raise money a very different way. You could tokenize this future resort, and let's say, I'm just going to make up numbers, let's say you're going to divide it into 1,000 tokens. It's kind of like, think about stock for a company. You could have 1,000 shares in a company. So you could have 1,000 tokens in this commercial real estate resort, and then you could sell those to people via the block. I mean, you can kind of invite them into your world and explain to them, what's the terms of this deal? What are all the legal documents that you need to read to understand, in the same way that you would kind of make that investment in the old world after doing your due diligence. That all can be done via online documents and what's called a data room. And if you are, now there are still rules, like laws around who's allowed to participate in this type of thing. And for now in the United States specifically, only accredited investors are allowed to participate in the example that I'm referring to, this kind of tokenized resort. And so let's say you are a accredited investor and you go and you do your research and it sounds like a really great opportunity for you. You could actually buy equity in this resort very quickly. And now you would have in your wallet a digital asset, probably an NFT, that would represent the ownership rights that you have to this certain percentage of the resort. Now the thing about something like a resort, right, there's a lot of different ownership rights. There's the right to, sell your shares. There's the right to make decisions within the business. There's the right to maybe like use your shares as collateral. Like there's a whole list of them. They're referred to as a bundle of sticks. And so don't always assume though that when we're talking about tokenization of assets, that every single right is going to be kind of sold in exchange. That's just not always the case. So it's important to understand if you are hypothetically going to participate in an investment opportunity around tokenization, just be clear before you make that investment, what exactly are the rights that I am buying? And what rights do I not get? Because I wouldn't assume that if you invested in a resort, for example, that you're going to be making like decisions about like hiring and the menu at the restaurant, all that kind of stuff. So there are cases where you have rights in terms of governance and you participate in making decisions, but there's also going to be times when you're really just money and you're going to get a return on that either by some kind of dividend or potentially you might have to wait until a certain amount of time has passed and you can sell that for a profit. So the point I'm trying to make here is that this tokenization of assets for raising money for something like a commercial real estate venture, there's going to be a variety of different ways that those rights are kind of sold or shared or transferred, and don't assume that every right is going to be included. So you got to read the fine print in these cases. So the tokenization aspect of real estate and businesses that are looking to raise money, like we're starting to see that happen now. We're still very early. There's going to be education on the part of the entities raising money around educating their market, like what's a wallet, what kind of digital assets do I need to pay for this, how do I get them? So be prepared if you are participating in helping a business raise funds through tokenization, that there are quite a list of things that you have to help your investor understand and learn if they are new to this space. And if you've been in the kind of blockchain crypto world for a while, you realize that there's a very small percentage of us who are knowledgeable about this relative to like the rest of the world. So there is going to be a responsibility on the part of us who are early to kind of help onboard new people and educate them about how this works and, what do they need to know, what software is involved. There's a lot of like language and jargon that some people can find intimidating. So that's kind of part one of what I'm seeing happening actually in the tokenization space is businesses that were traditionally kind of going to the banking sector or other kind of big kid financial institutions to raise money. That's not happening. So, and we could speculate about what's going on in the banking system. Is it collapsing? Is there just like a liquidity shortage? Like, hard to get a clear answer, but doesn't really matter for those businesses who are typically used to going to those entities. They're not able to do that at this time. So they are having to resort to some more creative solutions, and tokenization and raising money from a different group of people is happening. It's happening right now. The second thing I think that is a major change for like the world, not to be overly dramatic here, but we're gonna start to see that assets like gold, for example, are going to be tokenized and used to back sovereign currencies. Now, if you think globally to a particular region that has a tremendous amount of resources, but illogically is quite impoverished relative to some other Western nations, is the continent of Africa and all the nations in Africa. Now, not every nation in Africa has gold, but quite a few of them do. And some of them have actually pretty substantial amounts of gold, some of which is not even dug up yet. So we refer to that as in-ground assets. So imagine this for a second, how cool this is going to be when this happens. I actually wrote an ebook on this, which you're welcome to check out at valhilladvisors.io. But imagine you're a country in Africa, and I'm not going to pick a particular one because this applies to quite a few of them. And you were kind of a colony of a European nation, entity, maybe France or England or something. And during that time, sort of, you developed this kind of trade relationship with the colonizer, and you were kind of paid for the resources your nation has. Let's say maybe you grow cocoa beans and you also have coffee or chocolate or whatever, and you have this trading agreement that's not very profitable for you. And in order to facilitate this kind of global trade, you needed to build like a port and maybe railroad tracks and roads or whatever. So what happened historically was that entities like the IMF and the World Bank, kind of at the behest of these colonizing nations, went to these African countries and were like, hey, we're going to help you make a whole lot of money selling cocoa beans, but first you got to build these roads and this port, so we're going to lend you some money, and you can use that money to build all of this infrastructure. What they probably didn't tell you in the beginning, though, was that you might have to hire like specific companies to manage it. You can't just hire whoever you want to do that. There's a great book by John Perkins called Confessions of an Economic Hitman that really details in much greater detail than we're doing in this video about how that worked. Fascinating book. Highly recommend it. Okay, back to our Africa example. So you have this nation. It's now in debt to the IMF or the World Bank because they had to borrow money to build these ports and these roads. And it kind of sucks because, like, the debt, it's hard to pay off that debt. Imagine you're like a young 20-something, you've got this like maxed out credit card and you've got to pay this interest on it, and you can't make the pay off the loan, so the interest kind of accumulates and it grows and grows. You're going to kind of get to this point where you are not really able to service this debt anymore. And this kind of sucks because you might have to negotiate a second loan with different terms that are maybe less favorable, but what are you going to do when you are in a really difficult position in terms of debt? It also means that a lot of the money you as an African nation, in our example here, the money that you raise as a country that should be going to things like schools and healthcare and other sort of citizen services, you're not really able to pay for those things because you have to pay the interest on this debt and try to chip away at this principal. So it creates a very difficult situation for many of these kind of resource-rich countries. They're not only in Africa, I'm just using that as an example because quite a few of them are, where they are kind of in an extremely difficult position because they're making stuff and they're shipping it out. They have not been able to negotiate very favorable trade deals, unfortunately. They've got all this debt. And so you have this situation where the citizens of these countries are not getting the support that they should get from their government. So what do you do about this? How do you solve this, sometimes referred to as the sovereign debt crisis? And that's a broad generalization. Sovereign debt is a problem in a lot of places. We're going to just stick with my Africa example where it's a resource-rich nation who is not having a great situation because of their debt with the World Bank. Well, what would happen if this country happened to have a whole bunch of gold underground and they were like, gold is pretty valuable. What if instead of doing trade in dollars, which dollars are very expensive for our African country example because of the exchange rate, what if instead of doing trade in dollars, we issued our own sovereign currency that is backed by gold, and we could do it without having to dig up the gold? We're going to back it by in-ground assets. And there's very cool, now I'm still learning about this stuff, so but my understanding is that there's very cool satellite technology that can very accurately kind of profile what's underground and determine what percentage of whatever's underground is gold versus something else. I mean, metals and dirt and other resources like diamonds or whatever, they all have a different density, so you can tell like if something is a very specific density, then it's probably gold. Again, not an expert on that, still learning about it, but I am fairly confident that this technology exists that would allow you to confirm what are the resources that are underground. And you probably would need, if you're this country doing this, you would need a third-party auditor or two who's impartial to verify that this is in fact accurate. And then you could issue your sovereign currency without having to dig up the gold. Because if you think about it, somebody gave me this example a long time ago. Like when we mine gold, what generally happens is it gets dug up, which wrecks the land, right? So if this was like farmland, now you have a mine there. You can't farm where there's a mine. And You go through this very expensive process of digging it up, and then you've got to refine it. So you got to pay these refiners to do it, and you kind of have it in these gold bars, and then generally it gets kind of hidden back in the ground in some vault somewhere. So it's like a lot of busy work, very expensive busy work that is very destructive to the land. Like you can't live on it, you can't farm it once this mine has been, put into place. And for what? So you can bury it back in the ground? Okay, well, why is that even necessary? Why can't it be backed as an in-ground asset? I mean, the idea with backing a currency with gold is just so you can't print it out of nothing. There has to be like constraints around how much money is printed. And hypothetically, if someone did want to redeem that money for gold, you could dig it up and go through that process of refining it. Like, that's definitely a possible option, but not everybody needs to do that. So do you really need to wreck this land to dig up the gold? All right, so let's say that all works out. Now you have our African country example. They've got a bunch of gold. They now issue this new gold-backed currency, which in terms of like the world market, the world supply chain, the global exchange, gold-backed currencies are a lot less subject to inflation than fiat currencies that can be printed out of nothing, like the US dollar. So now our African nation has a cool situation where their money is actually worth a lot, and they've got a lot of it, and it's backed by gold, so it's considered sound money or hard money. You could pay off those debts pretty quickly if you now had this abundant supply of cash, and now you'd actually have extra that you could go and participate in the global supply chain, negotiate your own deals, and you are no longer beholden to this kind of Western banking system. This transformation, which I'm actually quite confident is going to happen, is going to completely change the resource-rich nations of the world in terms of their bargaining power in the global exchange. And if you're familiar at all with the BRICS alliance, most of the BRICS countries are resource producers. China makes lots of stuff, Russia makes lots of stuff, India makes lots of stuff. And so these nations, who quite coincidentally were all either colonies or attempted colonies of the kind of City of London-led banking system, these colonies are kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, this dollar system isn't really a great deal for us. Like, we are beholden to this entity that is issuing dollars out of nothing, using that as a political tool, and what do we get out of it? Why do we need that? What if we just created our own kind of marketplace? I mean, anyone can join it, but it's not going to be kind of run by the rules of the dollar system. What if we created our own kind of global currency exchange and we let nations issue their own currencies backed by whatever resources they have? In some cases that could be gold, but many nations have a variety of resources that are considered valuable. So what if everybody who makes stuff, the resource-rich countries, if they started to back their currencies with this sound money, it would kind of upend the way things have worked, and we could finally be a thriving middle class in a lot of these we call emerging markets or third world nations that have really struggled financially for a long, long time. And could introduce what we call a level playing field and some prosperity and opportunity for people to finally be educated and have things like clean water and homes with electricity, things that we in the West totally take for granted that are not commonplace in other parts of the world. This to me is one of the most significant world-changing aspects of tokenization, is the ability for resource-rich nations to back their money supply with whatever resources they have and participate in global trade, pay off their debt, and finally be able to have money to serve the needs of their constituents. Like, if you're not a fan of this, I don't understand why. Now, sometimes when I bring this topic up, people get, especially Americans, get defensive about the dollar. And before you have that emotional reaction, just take a little time to understand who actually issues the dollar. As an American, I always thought my whole life that the U.S. government did, but that's not actually true. That was outsourced back in 1913 to a third party, which is actually a violation of the Constitution from my understanding. And we, as citizens, kind of pay interest on this money that this third party issues, and that's where a lot of our tax dollars go. And it's not really an American currency is where I'm going. And I don't want to get into this too much in this video, but just know that what we as sort of Westerners have been led to believe about the dollar isn't exactly accurate. So if you are supporting kind of emerging market nations with this resource tokenization so that they can finally thrive financially, don't see that as like anti-American. It's not. Like, we in the United States would love a level playing field as well. We have quite a bit of resources ourselves, so why are we not backing our sovereign currency with resources as well? So that is another topic for another video for another day. But I do think that we're seeing this stuff happen. Now, in terms of like digital assets, like something like XRP being used as sort of the plumbing for all of this new global trade, I'm pretty confident from my research and speaking to lots of people who spend even more time doing research than me, that all of that's in place. Like, the banking system does not move quickly. They have like massive infrastructure teams that have been building and preparing for this blockchain-based money system to be implemented. But the question on everyone's mind is like, well, when's it going to happen? And if I knew that, I would be very happy and excited. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm not an insider who's privy to that information. However, what I am good at is reading kind of the energy of what's going on. And I'm seeing like there's a higher level of frustration than I've ever seen before. Larry Fink has come out and made his little press tour talking about how tokenization is, everything's going to be tokenized. So the mainstream financial system and the news media are now discussing this topic, which, why would they be doing that if it was like years away? We also see that this Bitcoin ETF is kind of introducing a digital asset, a digital currency into the traditional financial ecosystem. We see companies like Ripple really announcing tons of strategic partnerships, and they're growing and hiring. And if it was like 10 years away from being adopted, that would seem kind of premature. So there's a lot of indicators, if you're paying attention, that we are close to this. I choose to look at this as kind of a fun adventure, and I don't get stressed out about when it's going to happen. I know that that's difficult for some people, but I will say that like the tokenization stuff's making progress. Like, actual deals are being made, actual properties and businesses are being funded via the tokenization pathway, and it's exciting. So if you're watching this video, you're probably very early, like me, in this space. So we have to have some patience to understand that it's going to take a while. And this idea of a world where everything of value is tokenized, I mean, that's a multi-generational project. And if you think just with real estate specifically, how many real estate properties there are in the world, like, it's going to take a long time. But those are going to be really cool business opportunities for people who have the vision to understand how that's going to work, and how do you go to like every county in a country, like in the United States, for example, like real estate is generally deeds and whatever are managed at the county level. How are you going to help every county across the country tokenize those deeds, like, and the various easements and all that kind of stuff? There's going to be incredible opportunities for people who are excited about what's coming to participate in this new business world. Now, those probably not watching this video, but those people who are resistant to this and think it's all made up and like no way is it going to happen, every time I hear that, I'm just like thinking Blockbuster, Blockbuster, and how Blockbuster, 20 years ago was so adamant that like they were the king of the hill, and that nobody was going to want to watch movies on, through the internet, and that like everybody was going to want to go to the Blockbuster and get their DVD. And here we are, kind of half a generation later, and we see that Blockbuster is gone, and Netflix dominates the sort of the media movie industry in part. So technology moves things. It changes businesses. Efficiencies are introduced. People are always kind of looking for something that's more convenient or fits in, less friction. And the blockchain and tokenization, without a doubt, remove very expensive and painful friction points. And so there's no way to me that multiple sectors of this are not going to adopt this technology in our lifetime, if not in the next couple of years. Like, it's coming. And when we see large institutions, big financial banks and whatever, issuing papers about this, like, why would they do that if it was 20 years away? Like, it just seems like a poor use of their internal resources. So get ready. If you are interested in tokenization and potentially investing in some properties, or businesses or equity offerings or security offerings, like what a variety. We actually at Valhill are assembling a list, and we'll just kind of notify you when our opportunities are available. And if they're a good fit for you, you can learn more. If they're not a good fit, no worries. So I'll put the link to the vault in the comments, and please hop over and join us over there. And that's all I have for today. So, all right, I'll see you in the next one.
Hi, this is Daniela Cambone. Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show, now on ITM Trading. Today, we are talking about the #1 warning sign that capital controls may be coming sooner than you may think. Joining me today to talk about this is Nick Giambruno. He's a renowned speculator, international investor. He's the founder of Financial Underground and a frequent contributor to International Man. Nick, so good to see you. It's been way too long. How have you been?
Hey, great to see you too, Danielle. It has been too long. I've been quite busy. I follow the global macro situation very closely, and with all that's going on geopolitically and financially in the world, I have my work cut out for me.
Well, I was going to say, and right now you're in Argentina. Talk about being in the middle of a country going through major economic change, and I'd love to get your insights on that as well. But man, I gotta get Nick back on the show. Is I read with great interest one of your recent postings in International Man. The headline: the #1 warning sign, capital controls are coming soon, and 4 ways to beat them. I like the fact you provide solutions. So let's talk about that, because this is the opening line about this article. Weekends and holidays are the perfect time to catch people off guard. Like a street thug committing a mugging, capital controls blindside most people. Otherwise, they wouldn't be effective. So let's start with the basics here. First and foremost, what do you define as capital controls?
Well, capital controls come in many different flavors, but the underlying concept is that the government is preventing you from moving your money or spending it how you see fit. It should be something that's abhorrent to somebody who values economic freedom or lives in a free society. Seen the capital controls implemented in countries that are in dire financial straits, typically in the middle of a financial or banking or economic crisis, they slap on capital controls to prevent money from leaving the country. Now, what happens next? It doesn't take much imagination. Usually there's some kind of wealth confiscation. So you can think of capital controls as like a surprise measure to trap money within a country so that it's optimized for the government to steal. And that happens in countries that have financial crises, banking crises. I've seen it happen countless times. And it's happened in the U.S. in the past too, so I think it can happen again.
And I want to talk about the United States, obviously, but you say weekends and holidays are the perfect time to catch people off guard. Do you have examples of when that's happened?
Oh, absolutely. Well, look, you can't announce capital controls ahead of time, because what will people do? They'll take their money out of the country. Imagine if people said, if the government of Greece or Cyprus said, you know what, we're going to have capital controls and then a 20% wealth confiscation on Wednesday. They say this on Monday. What do you think people are going to do on Tuesday? So they can't do that. They have to take people by surprise. What are some examples? We saw this happen in Cyprus, it's over 10 years now. But we see this typically happen in many other countries too. And weekends and long weekends in particular, and holidays are perfect time. The idea is you want to catch somebody off guard. And the way you catch most people off guard is to catch them on a weekend or on a holiday, on a long weekend, where most people aren't thinking that something like this can happen. But this is exactly when something like this can happen.
You mentioned Cyprus, Argentina, Lebanon, Venezuela, Iceland, Greece, we remember that one, Turkey, Russia, Ukraine, China, India, South Korea, governments in countless countries. And of course the question is, well, could it really happen here in Canada or the United States? But we have seen examples of this.
Okay, yes, it has happened in the United States. Don't forget, the U.S. government forbid average citizens from owning gold bullion from 1933 to 1974. That's a long time. And that's a form of capital controls. Like I said, capital controls come in many different flavors, but restrictions on gold and precious metals and monetary alternatives, that is the key. They don't want you to go to alternatives. They want you to go into their fiat confetti, where they can more easily steal it. So it has absolutely happened. And when did that happen? That happened in the depths of the Great Depression, where FDR came out and surprised people and said, guess what? Well, previously, people had gold and the dollar was linked to gold. He confiscated it and then he revalued it and basically took the purchasing power away from citizens. There was a wealth it's the same pattern. It's capital controls always, always, always precede a wealth confiscation, and that is a perfect example, the 1933 example in the U.S. And then it stayed illegal. I mean, there was serious prison consequences. You could go to jail for up to federal
10 years in prison,
10 years.
And a $10,000 fine, which would be $235,000 equivalent today. And Nick, let's not forget Canada. During the trucker strike, we saw bank accounts frozen.
Oh, certainly. Look, that's another ball of wax, bank accounts. But yes, a bank account really is vulnerable to all sorts of problems, capital controls, wealth confiscations. The money, simply, I tell people three things about bank accounts. The money isn't your money, it's the bank's money. The money isn't even there, even if it was your money. And the money isn't money, it's fake money, it's fiat money, it's confetti. And this is what people have in bank accounts. So bank accounts are very, very precarious.
Well, because we grew up thinking the banks are your safe place. Like who else could you trust with your money, right?
Yes, but you gotta think, you gotta do critical thinking and not just rely on what has worked in the past, because those three things that I just said are absolutely true about the banking system, and most people have no idea. They think the bank has some money reserved for them in the vault for them, especially that is like marked for them that they can come pick up whenever they want. That is absolutely not the case, and it's the opposite of informed consent, in my opinion.
So let's talk about, because like I said, you provide solutions. So 4 things we can do to prepare for the situation. Actually, before we get there, because a lot of what you're speaking of, I don't know if you read The Great Taking by David Webb. It's kind of a book that went viral recently, but right. So, I mean, and he speaks of this, right, of another depression-like event happening where they could take all your possessions, basically. Your house, your car, the money in your bank.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, that is another thing, too, is that, we're talking about the money in the bank account is not really what most people think it is. Absolutely the same is true of stocks and bonds in your brokerage account. It is not how people imagine it, because you are not technically the owner of the stocks and bonds in your brokerage account. The broker is, and you have a promise from the broker. You have an IOU. It is absolutely not the same thing. And the reason is because if the broker ever got in trouble, or if there's another widespread financial collapse, guess what? The stocks and bonds that you think you own, you don't really own them. They're going to be used to satisfy the creditors of the bank, of the brokerage. And guess what? You're an unsecured creditor, so they're going to be used to satisfy somebody else. So yeah, really a lot of the stuff in the financial system is a big illusion that most people don't understand, and it's ripe for problems in the next crisis, to say the least.
So let's get to solutions here. Walk us through 4 things we could do, or actually should be doing.
Absolutely. So how do you look? The thing with controls is you're never going to know the exact moment that they're going to come. However, it's much better to be a year early in your preparation than a second too late, because once they're implemented, it's too late. You can't do anything about it. So 4 things. One is have a foreign bank account. This is not really the ideal thing, but it's better than nothing. So people in Cyprus, if they had a bank account in Switzerland, that wealth was fine. The politicians in Cyprus couldn't touch it. Number 2, foreign real estate. If you can afford to have foreign real estate, that's great, because that's a form of wealth that's outside of the borders of your home country. That's not going to be affected in capital controls. 3, I think Bitcoin is an excellent way to mitigate capital controls, because it's a very portable form of wealth, very easy to subvert capital controls. And 4, physical gold held in a safe jurisdiction. So say like the Cayman Islands, Singapore, Switzerland. You want physical gold. You don't want you want it allocated in your name. You don't want any other competing claims, because when if and when the financial system really starts to collapse, you absolutely do not want to have any sort of ambiguity on ownership. You want to have direct ownership. You don't want other competing claims. So you want to have that physical gold with no other competing claims in wealth-friendly jurisdictions. Those are the 4 ways you can really preempt capital control. And really preempting capital controls is preempting wealth confiscation, because wealth confiscation always comes after capital controls.
So, couple questions. On the first one, how difficult is it? I mean, I know I have bank accounts in other countries, but I have citizenship in those countries. How difficult is it to open a bank account, say in Switzerland, for example? I mean, do you need to show that you have a residence there, or, I mean, how hard is it? Or maybe it's not.
You know, this is a constantly changing thing. It's not, it's the requirements are changing always. It's not static. It's a moving target. Typically, it's not easy. You need to be a high net worth individual, and you have to jump through a lot of hoops. Yes, you can put money in a bank account in another foreign country aside from Switzerland, but pretty much banks all over the world have the same problems that I just mentioned a few moments ago. So yes, it's better than nothing. So let's say you're living in Argentina and you see things falling apart. Yes, having a bank account in a foreign bank account somewhere else is a great idea, but that's not the end-all be-all.
So you like Bitcoin and gold, right? You're one of those rare people, I say, that you see both those assets as being a solution outside of the system.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you got to keep the big picture in mind here. The main, we're talking about money. And money isn't confusing. Money is a very simple thing. It's just a tool that sends value, to store and exchange value. In other words, to send value through time and space. That's all money is. It's a tool to do that. So what is the dominant money in the world right now? It's fiat currency. Look at all the base money in the world. It's about $100 trillion, give or take. Then, of course, you got the bond market, which is some more. And then all the gold in the world is like, what, 13.5 trillion-ish? And all the Bitcoin in the world is about 1 trillion. So look, that's the universe of money here. And the biggest thing is the fiat currency system. So yes, I think gold and Bitcoin are superior to the fiat currency system. And I think as long as that exists, you've got two alternatives. Once the fiat currency system has totally collapsed and all of that $100 trillion has evaporated out of it, then I think that is when the gold versus Bitcoin thing is going to truly play out. But in the meantime, while we still have this horrible fiat system, you've got two very good free market alternative forms of money.
But on the Bitcoin, right, are you not concerned? I mean, we hear all the time, politicians hinting at the fact that they want to stop Bitcoin. So does that part about Bitcoin concern you, that, could governments prevent or stop Bitcoin?
I think no, and I think the proof in that is, I guess they could inhibit it in their geographic region, but let's just say this. Let's say the U.S. and Russia had all-out nuclear war and it destroyed the entire northern hemisphere. Europe is gone, North America is gone. Well, Bitcoin would be just fine in South America because of the way the network works. So really, there's not much they can do. And then you look at China. The Chinese government is pretty powerful. They've tried to ban it a number of times. Hasn't really worked. So the bottom line is you can't really ban Bitcoin any more than you can ban mathematics. And because if you can just memorize 12 words, which is how many popular wallets back up their funds, you can potentially store billions of dollars just in your head. You can't ban that. I mean, yes, they can try, but it's really not going to work out well for them.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm assuming you wouldn't want to own the ETFs, neither in gold or Bitcoin.
No, because you don't need to. Because why? Why take on unnecessary... Look, we're talking about a potential collapse in the financial system, and we're talking about the great taking. The last thing you want to do is to have IOUs of any kind, because you're not going to be at the top of the pecking order when it comes time to to figure out who owns what in these competing claims. You want to have unambiguous, clear, direct ownership of your assets, and physical gold allows you to do that, and Bitcoin allows you to do that. So why add on third parties? I think it's a terrible idea. Look, I know some people have retirement accounts, some people don't have the technical knowledge, some people don't want to store the gold, for example. Fine, but have open eyes. Keep your eyes open on the risks that you're taking. It is absolutely not this. Owning an IOU is absolutely not the same thing as owning the underlying asset without any claims.
Let me ask you this, because you've also been doing quite a bit of writing on central bank digital currencies. Obviously, it's a topic we've been covering for a long time here at ITM Trading. Your thoughts or insights as to how soon we could see them ushered in?
Yes, so probably soon, and I view that as a sign of desperation. Remember, the first central bank digital currency in the world was the Venezuelan petro. How did that do? Did that save the Venezuelan bolivar? No, it did not. And would a CBDC have saved the Lebanese lira? No. Would a CBDC have saved the Argentine peso? No. Did they introduced a CBDC in Nigeria? They really tried really hard with all sorts of coercive measures and a carrot and a stick. And guess what? 1 out of 200 Nigerians adopted it. So no, well, look, the bottom line with CBDCs is they're just the same fiat currency scam on steroids. So it allows for even more currency debasement, even more control. So it makes a crappy currency even worse. So I'm not too worried about them. Theoretically, yes, they're very scary, but in practice, they are just going to accelerate the demise of the fiat system, in my opinion.
So you think even if they are ushered in, they'll ultimately fail, and that's why you're not afraid of them?
Correct. I think it's guaranteed they will self-destruct. Look, communism was guaranteed to self-destruct too, but look how long communism took to collapse. It took generations. I don't think it's going to take that long with CBDCs. Why? Because there's a very easy way to opt out of CBDCs. Buy gold and buy Bitcoin. That's how you opt out. Anybody can do it. It's
okay,
very
but
easy.
Let's play out the scenario, right? Because Christine Lagarde's already, she had a New Year's message that, the euro is going to soon go digital and whatnot. So let's just play it out here in the U.S. The dollar, they force us to go digital, right? We're paying with this for everything. So there's no more paper money. But how would that just not work in your eyes and fail? Because they want it to work. They want us to be on digital. They're going to make it happen at any cost.
Yes. Well, look, the thing is that there will be inevitable black markets. And I don't like the term black market. A black market is really just a free market that exists because of government regulations. Look, Argentina, for example, where I'm at the moment, they used to restrict U.S. dollars. They said you can only use the Argentine peso. It's illegal to use dollars in most circumstances. Did that stop people? No. All it did is it created an enormous underground free market for dollars, or black market. I think the exact same thing is going to happen here. If they're trying to force everybody to use these crummy CBDCs that are debasing faster than the regular fiat currency, and they're forcing people to use this and saying you can't use anything else, what do you think that's going to do? It's going to cause an underground market, and I guarantee you that is what will happen.
Final point, Nick. Yes, you are in Argentina. You're really in the middle of the action. Tell me, what's it like being in Argentina amidst all the drastic economic reforms Milei is imposing?
Well, it's fascinating to see, because what you have with Milei is you have the world's first anarcho-capitalist president, which kind of sounds like a contradiction in terms, but he actually really gets a lot of the stuff. So one thing that he did that is not very well known is that he abolished legal tender laws. We need to see if it will stick. Legal tender laws are laws that force you to use the local fiat currency. He basically has said, use whatever you want to use as currency. If you want to use gold as money, if you want to use Bitcoin as money, if you want to use milk as money, he said, use whatever you want as money. We're not going to punish you. And that, I think, has not really been digested by the local Argentines nor the world. So I think there's a lot of potential. Look, it's uncertain. The jury is certainly out. We'll have to wait and see. But there is reason to be cautiously optimistic.
Nick Giambruno of the Financial Underground, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions regarding building a strategy based on precious metals, gold, silver, please feel free to reach out to one of my incredible colleagues at ITM Trading by booking a Calendly appointment in the link below. It's in the description. And don't forget to sign up at danielacamboni.com so you can stay on top of all this great content. That's it for me. We'll see you soon.
The alternative lending industry can provide a very lucrative opportunity for brokers and affiliate partners. Whether you're specialized in commercial lending or real estate financing, having the right funding partner can make the difference between earning thousands on a deal or losing a commission. Go Capital understands this. You work hard to secure your clients and deserve to be compensated. Unfortunately, due to increased competition, many lending companies have stopped working with new agents, are not providing adequate training, are slow to respond, and simply not issuing competitive approvals. By joining Go Capital's partner program, your dedicated support specialist will assist you every step of the way. As a broker, you know that it's not always a matter of obtaining a loan approval. You need competitive terms. Go Capital's catalog of loan products allows you to offer the best financial solutions to your clients. Options include business lines of credit, SBA loans, merchant cash advances, commercial mortgages, hard money fix and flip loans, bridge financing, equipment leasing, invoice factoring, and more. What does this mean for you? More deals, more commission, and satisfied customers. As a registered partner, you'll receive free access to the broker affiliate sales portal. This system allows you to easily manage your deals and also offers tools, training, and resources that will help you succeed. Frustrated with never being able to speak with someone about your deals? At Go Capital, someone is always available. Whether you prefer to call, email, chat, or even visit our office headquarters in downtown Miami, we are always available to answer your questions. While other companies may advertise the highest commissions, they often fall short when it comes to issuing competitive terms, making the process easy, or simply being responsive. Go Capital provides quality broker support and training, and quickly identifies how to best structure a transaction. With our multitude of loan programs, comprehensive training systems, and quality service, you can focus on more important things, generating more business. Need us to join a conference call with a client? Need help presenting an offer? No problem. Our loan specialists are here to help. For more information or to sign up, visit our partner page on www.gocapital.com today or call 1-866-257-2973 and speak with an account manager. Go Capital, where your success is our business.
Now this is one of those crazy videos where, as you can see, I put a little Q in the title because we're not talking about billions, not talking about trillions. We are talking about settling 2.5 quadrillion per year. That's quadrillion with a Q. And that's what the DTCC is moving on a yearly basis right now through their platform. Now, I couldn't believe that I missed this one. I was doing a little bit of research on the DTCC. They're one of the largest settlers and processors of securities trading and derivatives in the world. And I was doing some research on them, and I came across a Brad Kimes video where he was talking about a major acquisition that this company just made. And I couldn't believe that I actually had missed this one, but sure enough, this came out. The DTCC announced that we have signed a definitive agreement to acquire Securrency, a leading developer of institutional-grade digital asset infrastructure. And I would have completely missed this one if it had not have been for Brad Kimes' Digital Perspective. So a huge shout out to Brad. I'm going to let him play this clip real quick, announcing this and showing you the connection that he found back to Ripple and XRP. Let's take a listen in.
Look at what's going on here. Today, the DTCC announced that we have signed a definitive agreement to acquire Securrency, a leading developer of institutional-grade digital asset infrastructure. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Securrency has developed a unique compliance-aware token that embeds regulatory and transactional rules in a compliance layer to facilitate legally compliant securities offerings in the United States and globally. But it gets better. Securrency's protocol can be utilized on Ethereum, Stellar, Ripple, EOS, and other distributed ledgers, as well as on legacy systems, allowing for seamless on-chain and off-chain movement of tokens. Now I start to wonder about everything coming together here. Oh my, this to me is extremely, extremely exciting, ladies.
I love it. It gets better. But wait, there's more. My man, Brad Kimes, huge shout out to him. What a guy. Cannot wait for XRP Vegas 2024. It's going to be so lit. But this is what we do as a community, right? We put in that effort, and Brad Kimes covered this one. Nothing gets by our community. That's what makes us the best. And as he was saying, you know, as we tie all this together, we just see day one of Ripple swell. We saw Brad take over DC FinTech Week yesterday. It's a great time to be in the XRP community because we see that we have legal clarity on top of the utility that's coming to our ledger. But sometimes I like to remind folks that we're not, you know, I put out my conservative predictions. Like I said at the very beginning, this is one of those crazy videos where I'm talking about the quadrillions coming to this space. when I share my conservative predictions for this next bull run, I talk about us achieving, 2 to 3 times overall cryptocurrency market cap, what we did last bull run. 2021, we topped out at 3 trillion. If we do 2 to 3x, that's 6 to 9 trillion. And I like to have fun. I like to give us the benefit of the doubt. And I hope that we can pump it all the way up to 10 trillion. But that's really a conservative prediction for the next bull run. And as we look at, all the white papers, everything that we're reading right now, all the institutions are talking about reaching 10 to 30 trillion by 2030 is the expectations. But what's exciting and why I like to bring up these videos is because you have institutions that kind of fly under the radar. In the XRP community, we know about SWIFT, we know about R3, we know about the BIS and a lot of these other institutions. But the DTCC is one of these institutions that's kind of flown under the radar. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about right here. Take a look at this. And this is the company DTCC. And when I throw 2.5 quadrillion in the headline, in the title of this video, I'm not clickbaiting you. This is really what they do. So this is the article here, and this is the press release that they put out, the definitive agreement to acquire Securrency. But about the DTCC, with 50 years of experience, DTCC is the premier post-trade market infrastructure for the global financial services industry. From 20 locations around the world, DTCC, through its subsidiaries, automates, centralizes, and standardizes the processing of financial transactions, mitigating risk, increasing transparency, enhancing performance, and driving efficiency for thousands of broker-dealers, custodian banks, and asset managers. Industry-owned and governed, the firm innovates purposely, simplifying the complexities of clearing, settlement, asset servicing, transaction processing, trade reporting, and data services across asset classes, and bringing increased security, enhanced resilience, and soundness to financial markets. They really are one of the leaders in security settlement and trade, and not just messaging like SWIFT, but actually doing the settlement and the clearing as well. In 2022, DTCC subsidiaries processed securities transactions at US 2.5 quadrillion, and its depository subsidiary provided custody and asset servicing for securities issued from over 150 countries and territories, valued at the US value of $72 trillion. So let's remind ourselves where we're at with the quadrillions, right? Everyone gets excited. We achieved 3 trillion overall cryptocurrency market cap. That's a drop in the bucket, right? Because SWIFT does on a daily basis, 5 to 6 trillion. So think about that. The daily volume of SWIFT is double what we had in the overall cryptocurrency market cap, just to give you a little bit of perspective, right? That's what needs to be moving and settling on a daily basis at SWIFT. Now you take a look at ACI worldwide. They do about $14 trillion daily. So just between those two, we're talking $20 trillion on a daily basis. The clearinghouse in the United States does $2 trillion daily too. So just on a daily basis, we have well over 20 trillion. And just between SWIFT and ACI worldwide, SWIFT is over 1 quadrillion of cross-border settlement on a yearly basis. So SWIFT does a quadrillion, transaction volume per year. With DTCC, we do 2.5 quadrillion, so it's basically 2 times as big as SWIFT's volume, and this is for securities. So, I mean, guys, when you look at all of these different problems that we're solving, I always say, right, my classic saying, the $1 trillion problems turn me on. Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the best time ever, we're talking about solving quadrillions now. And the DTCC is at the forefront, one of the industry leaders here. Securities issued in over 150 countries, over $72 trillion of value that's parked, but then over 2.5 quadrillion that is moving on a yearly basis. This is absolutely massive. But to dive a little bit deeper into this acquisition of Securrency, this is a very big deal, as we see this company is on the cutting edge of basically issuing securities. Securrency's new patent for groundbreaking compliance-aware token framework. So this is the patent that they've received, and that's so important to get that patent. We're going to see patent wars, finally playing out now, at the forefront of the crypto space, I believe, over the next couple years. This is going to become a big deal. Many folks kind of overlooking the patents, and I'm speaking on that because I'm going to have Reggie Middleton, our good friend Reggie, the DeFi king. He has the DeFi patent, and he's actually suing Circle. And I believe that he's suing, is it Coinbase too? and he, is alleging that basically they're infringing upon his DeFi patent. So if you guys want to learn more about that, I've interviewed Reggie twice already, and he's going to be coming back this Sunday at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern Standard Time, 3 o'clock. He's going to be coming back for a Twitter space, so that's why, patent is kind of top of the mind once again. But anyways, this platform is really, really interesting. Securrency, a leading developer of institutional-grade blockchain-based financial and regulatory technology, today announced it has received a United States patent for its compliance awareness token framework. This framework is a critical step in Securrency's four-phase vision that includes tokenizing financial assets at scale, interconnecting global marketplaces on the universal transaction and compliance rails, accelerating decentralized finance by combining powerful smart contracts with automated business logic, and finally, enabling a global liquid digital asset marketplace available to all. In landmark pilot projects with global regulatory agencies and in commercial deployments with world-class financial institutions, Securrency has demonstrated how CATF can solve some of the most pressing issues for digital assets by allowing issuers, their agents, and intermediaries to easily build rule sets into a token for identity authentication and authorization, securities regulations and transaction and liquidity requirements, automate multi-jurisdictional compliance and risk management functions, such as preventing fraud, enforcing holding periods, and applying trading volume and collateralization rules, repeat and reuse rule sets to streamline compliant digital asset creation and issuance, audit rule sets to facilitate reporting on tokenized securities offerings, empower authorized individuals or entities to freeze or claw back tokens from a user wallet in, for example, a tax, bankruptcy, or criminal proceeding. And if you guys have been paying attention, we've been talking about the clawback feature coming to the XRP ledger, which is going to be so critical for the XRPL. But as you can see right here, Securrency on the cutting edge and the DTCC, announcing this definitive agreement to acquire the company. This is what we've been talking about in the space with Ripple. Doing their acquisitions of Medico was the most recent big one. They were going to take a look at Fortress Trust. They decided to back out of that deal. But nonetheless, the mergers and acquisitions in the space have been ramping up during this bear market recession. We see a lot of firms, basically just handing it over to one of the incumbents, like in this case, Securrency getting picked up by the DTCC. Perfect fit, and the DTCC, a big player. And the point that I want to bring home, folks, is that when we see that they're already doing 2.5 quadrillion without 24/7 trading, instant settlement at no fees, this just grows exponentially over time. So the 2.5 quadrillion that they're doing right now is just a start. The 1.2 quadrillion that's settled every year on SWIFT is just a start. And this is going to grow exponentially through the Internet of Value and through DLT solutions like the XRP Ledger. And the beautiful thing about what Securrency did with their platform, and you're seeing this is what the institutions want, is they want that blockchain agnostic capabilities, or as we've seen provided by the XRP Ledger and the Interledger Protocol, is they want that interoperability. So if you want to deploy on EOS, if you want to deploy on, they said Ripple, but we know they're talking about XRP, you want to deploy on Stellar. And I actually went and I read their white paper at Securrency, and they specifically mentioned ERC20 tokens, and they specifically mentioned Stellar. And I don't know what Brad Kimes found where it says EOS and it says Ripple too, but it is, if you read their white paper, the patent technology that they have here for the compliance-aware token framework, that's what they're calling it, right? The groundbreaking compliance-aware token framework. It is blockchain agnostic, which is similar to Corda Settler, which is what R3 offers, right? And of course, all roads lead back to Ripple. When you look at the deals that R3 has done, when you look at the DTCC, they've shown some interest too in Ripple. And then we see that they've acquired this company, which is blockchain agnostic. And this is all part of not just moving trillions, not just getting to 10 trillion overall cryptocurrency market cap next bull run. That's going to be a party. That's going to be fun. XRP is going to eat up a bunch of that. But what I'm excited about is this is eventually coming our way. And we're talking about 1.2 quadrillion at SWIFT, double that volume through ACI worldwide, and then we're talking 2.5 quadrillion through DTCC, and it's all coming to DLT. Is XRPL going to get all of it? No, absolutely not. But as we've always said, We just got to get a piece of this action and we go somewhere fun. So I wanted to cover this one. Huge shout out to Brad Kimes. I would have missed it if it wasn't for him. And if you guys appreciate this update, let's make sure that we smash that thumbs up on the way out. And I will be sharing some more content later today. So make sure you subscribe up here, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. Everything else can be found on my website. It's zachrector.com. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.
Understanding letters of credit, forms, functions, and legalities. RSI, CCG, and AFINET offer a comprehensive perspective on the topic of letters of credit, LCs. LCs are vital financial instruments in global trade, providing a written promise of payment issued by a financial institution. They play a crucial role in ensuring security in transactions, particularly in international trade. To be valid, LCs must be in writing and signed by the issuer, typically a bank. Forms of letters of credit. There are various forms of LCs, each designed to meet specific transactional needs. The main types include A. Documentary credit. This type of LC requires payment against specific documents. These documents may include bills of lading, warehouse receipts, inspection certificates, or performance certificates. B. Clean letter of credit. Providing flexibility, this form allows for payment without the need for presenting documents. It is designed to accommodate a wide range of commercial arrangements. C. Notation credit. Ideal for multiple payments under one credit. This type requires a notation on the LC for each payment, indicating the remaining credit amount. Failure to make notations can result in liability for damages. D. Straight letter of credit. This straightforward payment mechanism does not involve complex requirements, offering simplicity and ease of use. Legal implications and considerations. Understanding the legal nuances of LCs is essential for their effective use in trade. Some key points to consider include A. Distinction from guarantees and advances. LCs are distinct from guarantees and advances, and their applicability is governed by Article 5, which applies only to transactions that meet specific LC requirements. B. Revocable versus irrevocable letters of credit. It is important to differentiate between irrevocable and revocable LCs. Irrevocable LCs cannot be altered or revoked without the beneficiary's consent, while revocable LCs can be modified or revoked by the issuer at any time without consent. The revocability status should be clearly stated in the LC. Conclusion. Letters of credit are essential tools for secure transactions in international trade. Their various forms cater to different commercial needs, providing flexibility and security. Understanding the legal framework surrounding LCs, including their distinction from guarantees and the implications of their revocable or irrevocable nature, is crucial for their effective application in global commerce. By grasping these aspects, parties involved in international transactions can leverage LCs to enhance security and efficiency. Implementing an abstract of administrative judgment for a Schedule A. RSI, CCG, and AFINET offer valuable insights into the implementation of an abstract of administrative judgment, specifically for a Schedule A. This guide focuses on creating a concise summary of the key details and outcomes of a judgment, serving as a quick reference for interested parties. Understanding the types of leveraged buyouts, LBOs. To lay the foundation for implementing an abstract of administrative judgment, it is important to understand the various types of LBOs. A. Owner buyout, OBO. This occurs when a co-owner wants to sell their stake in a company, and the remaining owners acquire the company and borrow money to purchase the seller's stake. B. Management buyout, MBO. Led and financially backed by the current management team, an MBO happens when the owner retires or a company divests, and the management team decides to lead the acquisition. C. Institutional buyout, standard LBO. Involving funds acquiring a company through tax, financial, and legal leverages, a standard LBO occurs when an owner who is not a manager retires or a company divests from certain sectors. D. Leveraged buy-in, LBI. This type of LBO involves a fund acquiring a business and immediately changing or significantly overhauling the management. E. Management buy-in, MBI. A management buy-in occurs when an outside management team takes over a company. F. Leveraged buildup, LBU. A leveraged buildup involves buying a platform company and making additional acquisitions, add-ons, to consolidate a sector and become an industry leader. First, implementing an abstract of administrative judgment for Schedule A. To effectively implement an abstract of administrative judgment for Schedule A, the following steps should be followed. A. Understand the administrative judgment. Familiarize yourself with the details and outcomes of the administrative judgment and identify the key points that need to be mentioned in the abstract. B. Structure the abstract. Begin the abstract with a concise summary of the administrative judgment. Include relevant background information such as the parties involved and the context of the judgment. Summarize the key findings and outcomes. C. Use clear and concise language. Write the abstract using clear and concise language to ensure that the essential information is effectively conveyed. Avoid unnecessary jargon or technical terms that may confuse the reader. D. Review and edit. Review the abstract for accuracy and ensure that all the key points are covered. Edit the abstract for clarity, grammar, and readability. Conclusion. Implementing an abstract of administrative judgment for a schedule. A requires a thorough understanding of the different types of LBOs and the key points of the administrative judgment. By following the steps outlined in this guide, you can create an effective abstract that provides a concise summary of the judgment.